I guess since among the three of us here, I'm the one who has a background in agriculture. I'll take this bite. Uh, the problem of the Philippine agriculture is the very low productivity growth during the last 3 decades. It's basically zero, flat productivity. So you're right in your observation that a lot of the production growth that we are reporting in agriculture is really coming from more inputs, more perspiration, just applying more fertilizers, more more pesticides, and more and subsidizing seeds. Very little effort has been made into raising the productivity of the land and raising the competitiveness of our farmers. I'm saying that because if you look at the structure of spending in government, much of it is into supporting subsidies, subsidy programs like the hybrid rice or the fertilizer subsidy program, instead of using that money to raise the levels of productivity through research, through irrigation development, through improved institutional arrangement, and so on. And I think, and the other point that I want to raise is that in my years, 15 years of studying farmers, not only in this country but in other parts of Asia, the single most important consideration that farmers would ask if they choose one technology over another technology is, can I make money out of it? So, even if you have this technology that will not make use of fertilizer, of inputs, if the profits, if the incomes that they could make out of it per hectare or per unit of labor is inferior to an alternative technology, like a technology that makes use of fertilizer, they will not adopt that. That's the experience that we learn from the field.
Could you cite me some sources that I could verify your statement, sir?
Yes, I just have a book together with some colleagues, Andre, asserting the rural development in Asia, lessons learned from the last 30 years of Asian development. And I would be happy to, it was published last year by the Institute of Southeast Asian Studies in Singapore, and I could, give me your card, I'll give you a copy, free.
Okay, Mr. Luz would like to add.
I guess I speak more from personal experience, so my lessons are personal. Several years ago, I helped form the National Coffee Development Board, the Philippine Coffee Board. So as a result, believe it or not, I went into farming because I felt that I cannot promote an industry if I didn't know what it took to grow the coffee. I got into it because I was a major drinker of coffee, but not a grower. So I went into it to learn. And you're correct. You have to watch the input cost. In my case, and what RC says is, I think, correct. We didn't look at it from the point of view of how much are we going to produce, but how much are we going to make. So I was willing to live with a lower yield because I was going to drastically reduce my expenses as well. And the single biggest item for me was fertilizer. So, do I go for chemical fertilizer or organic fertilizer? It's a very simple equation, actually. Today, chemical fertilizer is $1,300 a bag. You can make your own organic fertilizer for maybe $200 a bag equivalent, and you could buy for maybe between maybe $350 tops. No, so you just run the numbers, do the math, and I think you make a decision. But look at it from the point of view of the income you want to make, not the yield you want to get, and then net out all the fantastic expenses. Because once you start down the route of chemical fertilizers and pesticides, you may be stuck on that route because you may be depleting your own land. So look at it as a business. The other thing we did is we had to look at every tree actually as a business unit. So that was our cost center and that was our revenue center per tree is the way we calculated it. So that's how I would say if you want to go into farming, maybe look at it from that perspective in cost accounting.
Thank you very much for the input. Yes, sir.
I'd just like to revert briefly on that question about one-child policy. I think it's a very important question. I just want to supplement the answers that have been given, and that's because we have so many, actually reproducing members in the audience, as well as potentially reproducing. So we have to clarify it further. Okay, I think a one-child policy or even a two-child policy, population policy, would be too draconian a measure. And we don't really need a draconian measure to address the population problem. All really that's needed is helping couples prevent unwanted pregnancies. The data shows that, for example, the poorest quintile of households, they really only want 4 children. But they're having, on average, 6 children. So there are 2 unwanted children for the poorest families. So if we could help them prevent, or putting it differently, we could help them achieve their desired family size, then that would have a big impact already on our population, on the population issue. And in the 1960s, there were lots of studies on population because that was a problem in the developing countries. And studies have shown at that time that an investment in modern family planning services gives quite a big bang for the buck compared with investment in other areas of the economy or society. Thank you. So no need for draconian measures. Thank you.
Thank you. Would you like to react, sir? We have one last question. I'm sorry we cannot accommodate because of the lack of time. We have one last question. Yes, please.
I'm Ned Echanis from the College of Business. I just have a few comments for NAPSI. I think there are many small people that would like to do some business with the government. But it seems that the government is requiring so many requirements or documentation before small people can do business with the government. So maybe NAPSI can look into this, and I'm just toying with the idea of a certain percentage of government business should go to small people, and the requirements should be somewhat relaxed. Because we have experienced this in UP, that these simple folks who could do good work cannot have some contracts with UP because of the requirements. You know, how can an ordinary laborer who does good painting job produce all these requirements before you can do business? So I think it's just a simple way of alleviating poverty by changing and streamlining some government policies. And we don't have to do regression analysis to alleviate poverty. So that's one. So, and then I was thinking of, we salaried workers pay about 30% of our salaries to the government in the form of taxes. All right, we pay that until we drop dead, you know. Maybe before you drop dead, you're 65, you stop paying it. But I think somebody must look into, do we really get adequate amount of money from GSIS and SSS? Nobody is looking into that. We contribute every month, but by the time you retire, this is what you get. But nobody has really evaluated these two agencies. So why, I have been wondering, you know, one time, some decades ago, I compared, if I contributed this to PhilAm, and and if I contribute this until I'm age 65, and this is my salary, I should be getting 8 million pesos. So why is it that I will be just given some amount, 2 million at that time when I computed it? So why is there a difference? So somebody has to look into this. So I think you would be doing a lot of good to all the working people who have contributed money to GSIS and SSS, if you would just spend a small amount of money to some consultants to produce this. And so, if it is not comparable, then maybe we can choose our insurance company. Thank you.
I have to answer two concerns. One is on the access to microfinance by small communities. I don't know what we refer to when we talk about small people, no? So are these the urban poor or the laborers inside UP? At any rate, we have two ways of, I'll tell you where this group can go. One is the SWD. The SWD is providing microfinance assistance under the CAK to help small groups of women get some small capital for livelihood or income generating activities. Now, in terms of the criteria for the poorest of the poor have been relaxed. Now, PCFC, our wholesaler of microfinance, doesn't provide direct services or credit services to small entrepreneurs, but they provide capital, big capital to microfinance institutions. So perhaps this group can call us, and when they call us, we'll tell them what's the nearest group or MFIs working in the area where they are. And I assure you that if there are certain requirements there, these are not what you call mahirap, masunod, no? I don't think that's how it is. But of course, let's be just specific. They can contact me. Madam, I'm answering your question. Anyway, you can contact 927-9796, and I'll give some directions where they can go. For the second question, which is on a study on finding out how we can improve our benefits in GSIS or SSS, I'll throw that challenge to the UP. UP has a very good research group. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. On behalf of the Centennial Lecture Series Committee, we thank the discussants and reactors for a very enlightening discussion on poverty alleviation. We would also like to thank the audience here in Diliman and as well as the regional campuses. Thank you for joining us today, and we hope to see you again in our next Centennial Lecture. This will be on February 15, 2008 at 2 p.m. here at the same venue. We will be featuring Dr. Francisco Nememso, former Professor Emeritus and former President of the University of the Philippines. His lecture is titled Beyond the Classroom, UP's Responsibility in Rebuilding a Ravaged Nation. Okay, please rise for the UP Naming Mahal.